Shalom, Yasharallah. This your brother Dawada, coming back at you with this here truth again. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahushai, Bahashim, Rakakodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that taught us this truth and that rule well. And salutation and much love for you, Akim, pushing this truth and sincerity over the four corners of the earth and enduring afflictions to feed and edify the elect. So I want to jump into this here quick lesson, dealing with just being detached from this here world, being detached from the things in this here world. I did a video not so long ago about these different devices and how, basically it's really easy to get caught up into these little devices and certain things like that in this here world, because of the fact of, you may see a so-called come up or a quote unquote better way or a better life, but a lot of these things into lead to a path of emptiness, And let me read this real quick. Micah 2:10, it says, "Arise ye and depart, for this is not your rest, because it is polluted. It shall destroy you even with the sword of destruction." Ultimately, we are going to depart from this here place. But that's when the Lord takes us up out of this place, But as far as, waking up to this truth, this is the first thing that you have to do. All right. You have to put off that old man, the old ways. You have to arise ye and depart from out of this place, spiritually and mentally. All right. You have to become detached from this here world. All right. Detached from the things in this here world. And how do I say, the certain, more or less the certain devices or traps that this here world offers. All right. Because, with a lot of these different things, we'll like to cry out unto the Lord when we're in our pain and our suffering. But then, let's say you have a job and you work at Taco Bell or something, right? Can't make ends to meet, anything like that. So you sighing and crying, man, I hate this. I'm always behind and everything like that. And then one day you get a 6-figure a year salary. Now you're making some decent money, right? And then, you so-called come up a little bit as far as your spirit is kind of lifted up. Oh man, I ain't got to be stressing about this and that no more. I can pay off this here debt and everything like that, But ultimately, that only lasts it's only a temporary fix for the time being. And then what? It goes back downhill again, all these things. Let me read this again. Arise ye and depart, for this is not your rest. So in that example I gave you, you're working at Taco Bell, right? And you're struggling to get through financially, or maybe you're single and you're trying to find a woman, any of these things, right? You're going through these things, and then you so-called reach out and you find something, like the scriptures say, roughly paraphrasing, about those that's trying to save their life, they shall lose their life. But those that lose their life for the gospel's sake shall, basically have eternal life. And that's going back into the same precept, because, again, in those things, you're trying to find your so-called life, your comfort in your life. Again, these are all like more or less to say metaphors, because the guy working at Taco Bell, obviously he's living, right? But he would have in his mind, this ain't the way life is supposed to be. And if I can only get this, if I could only get that. I was watching something the other day and somebody was saying something about that, which we all know about these things, if you're wise, money don't buy happiness, or, you can't really get fulfilled with a lot of these things. And so a lot of people will go on a certain type of search to become fulfilled in this here world, to find rest, because they're in a so-called chaotic state. My life is in chaos, my job is, financially holding me back, or, or this is why I can't, live the type of life. Most people, you ask them like, yo, if I gave you $10 billion, would that solve all your problems? Most people will say, yeah, but once they get that, again, it's a temporary fix for the time being. Then you start seeing how much taxes you got to pay. Then you got to see people, trying to take all your money, and people who really want to be around you for you or your money and things like that. So then now you're back into that chaotic state. Now you have more stress. All right. So again, this is like, a great example of how, let me read it again. It says, "Arise ye and depart, for this is not your rest." So you're trying to get up out of this here rest, or out of this chaotic state, just so you can finally be calm and rest. But then once you get these temporary things, all right, you find out that what, you're back into that chaotic state again. All right. Oh man, if I could just get a woman, and and this is what you think is going to fulfill you in your life. You get this here woman, now your life is full of so much more stress. All right. So let me read this again. "Arise ye and depart, for this is not your rest, because it is polluted. It shall destroy you even with the sword of destruction." And so like the examples I was given, as far as financially, you can come up with a good little financial scheme or a quick little flip, and, your spirits will be up. Oh, finally, I can be able to do this and do that and pay my bills and not have to worry about this and worry about that for a time being. But then now you have to maintain, that wealth or whatever. Now you have to constantly keep your eye out under these things, or again, getting a woman, If I if I could just get a woman, everything, that my life would be so much more easier. But then now you get this here woman, and you realize that, look, you're gonna have these types of complications and problems with this here woman, because look, the whole earth is polluted. Everything is polluted, man. The minds of the people. Let me grab that real quick. It's Isaiah 24. Um, I should just read all the way down. Isaiah 24, I'm start at verse 1. Real quick, it says, Behold, Yahweh maketh the earth empty, and maketh it waste, and turneth it upside down, and scattereth abroad the inhabitants thereof. Just like in the time of Noah, the whole earth was nothing but wickedness. Real quick. Um, Genesis 6, I'm starting verse 11. The earth also was corrupt before the Most High, and the earth was filled with violence. And the Most High looked upon the earth, and behold, it was corrupt, for all flesh had corrupted his ways upon the earth. And that's pretty much, we could sum up Isaiah 24 with that. Everything is all corrupted because of these people. All right, let me just read one more verse out of Isaiah 24. Isaiah 24, let me just get to the point. Isaiah 24 and 5. Or start at verse 4. The earth mourneth and fadeth away, the world languish and fadeth away. The haughty people of the earth do languish. The earth also is defiled under the inhabitants thereof, because they have transgressed the laws and changed the ordinance and broken the everlasting covenant. So with all these things that you can see that seem so good on the outside, when you peel back the layers to it, you realize that these things are all corrupted, and now you don't have the same type of the same type of happiness as you thought you would have. Let's give you an example. You were living out in the country off a dirt road. You had your own house, your own property, and everything like that. And you thought that, oh, my life would be so much better if I could move up into one of those subdivisions where those Edomites are staying and have this and have that. But then you actually move out there, and you have these what they call a deed restricted type neighborhood, where you can't have this going on or that going on and this going on. And you feel like, man, like, yo, I'm supposed to own this house, and I got all these rules and regulations and everything like this. I got to get my grass cut on a certain day and to a certain level, and all these different things. Why I got all this here hell on me when I was living down on that dirt road? I ain't have none of these problems. And you realize that it's just your mindset that's got you going back and forth with these things. All right. So going back to Micah chapter 2, arise ye and depart, for this is not your rest. All right. We're trying to find our rest in quote unquote temporary tangible things here in this here place to so-called satisfy our miseries. All right. And now that void that we're trying to fill is ultimately our separation from the Most High. All right. This is why, scriptures say you should know the truth, and the truth and you shall know the truth, and the truth will set you free, roughly paraphrasing. And that goes into a lot more things. But, ultimately, if you understand, like, yo, man, all these things about to go away in this here world, why am I killing myself to go get this here brand new Rolls Royce? This might take me 10 years to get it. And, the day before I can actually go down there to go buy this Rolls Royce, the missiles come. I didn't, wind up wearing myself to death for all this and nothing, or get this here woman and come to find out, hey, we see how, like, with the divorces and everything like that, you done worked up and became, a quote unquote good man, have all these things to be able to give to somebody, and you get this here woman, and then now you go through a divorce, she's cheating on you, and find out all these things, and now you are literally living in a way worse life than you were before you even met her. You had all these possessions, you had the peace of mind and everything like that, but then now all of a sudden you got this here woman, and then y'all separated, she's taking half of the things, taking half of the kids, now you're in way more stress. You have a lot of guys that actually commit suicide over things like that, man. All right. But nevertheless, let's continue on. So this is 1 Corinthians 7. I'm going to start at verse 29. But this I say, brethren, the time is short. All right. And that's what we have to understand. All right. We're in a temporary place. All right. We're about to get out. I use this analogy when talking about this. It's like you in prison, right? You had to do a 10-year bid or whatever. All right. And or let's just say you got a DUI, so you're in an overnight situation. Right. But you want to go and you get locked up. And the first thing you want to do is get inside your cell and start decorating your cell. You want to start putting things up on the wall and everything like that. And your roommate, your cellmate is looking at you like, bruh, you finna be out in the morning. You're not even going to spend the whole 24 hours here. Why are you trying to decorate the cell and do this and do that and establish this and establish that in prison when you finna be out in less than 24 hours? This is the same mind state that we should have in this here place. All right. Let me read that again. This is, But this I say, brethren, the time is short. It remaineth that both they that have wives be as though they had none, And now when you read this chapter, it's going into, dealing with, you got women, or being single and things like that. But using the analogy, let me read that again. It says, but I say this, brethren, that the time is short. It remaineth that both they that have wives be as though they had none. All right. Because again, you know, we're not saying like if you married or whatever to just go off your wife, or if you got a job, go off your job. Of course, we need, like especially a job just to get by and everything. But as far as you trying to make a career path, it's like, let's say today you decide, you know what, I'm about to go back to school, get a college degree into this, and start my career. And then, maybe 15 years down the road, I'll start making some real money. That's, let me read it again. It says, um, it remained that both they that have wives be as though they had none, right? Because of the fact is like, yo, man, just be as if you're in a temporary spot, man. All right, again, as if you in jail, same analogy, you in the same cell with this dude that's got 10 years, but you only gonna be there 24 hours. So you should be living like as if you're gonna be there less than 24 hours, not like the guy that's going to be there for 10 years, even though y'all both in the same cell at the same time, man. You were supposed to arise and depart, because this is not your rest. Your mindset should be on focusing on the Lord, all right, doing the Lord's work, because we're here for a small stay now, all right? We're at the end of this here captivity. So don't get too attached to this here world and the things of this world, trying to reach out and cleave into these things, all right? Verse 30, it says, and they that weep be as they that wept not, and they that rejoice as though they rejoice not, and they that buy as though they possess not. All right. So again, some people go and buy a house. This is my first house. I'm gonna build up on it and start adding on to it in some years, and I'm gonna get married, and when we have kids, we're gonna add on a back bedroom. But that's like 7 years, 10 years down the road. We're not supposed to be in that mind state. Now if things happen, you happen to have a kid or something like that, then that's just the circumstance that you in. Or not to be super simple. Let's say you living in a house, right, and you got a job, and you wind up losing that job or having to downsize your job. Are we saying be homeless? No, go out and go get you another apartment, or go out and go get you another house if that's in your means. But your mind state shouldn't be, look, I'm gonna go ahead and buy this house, and in 30 years I'll have it paid off, pass it down to my kids. No, man, we shouldn't have that their mindset. All right, let me keep going. Verse 31, and they that use this world as not abusing it, for the fashion of this world passeth away. So look, all things are lawful but not expedient. There's nothing wrong with you having a woman in this here truth. There's nothing wrong with you having a job in this truth, having a house in this here truth, but that shouldn't be your main focus and your mainstay. All right, your main focus shouldn't be, look, you know what, I'm about to better my education, to go get a job and a career for the long term, build up my credit so I can buy a house in the next 10 years, go out here and like, let's say you got a woman, or you're dating a woman, or you just come across a woman, you might organically walk across a woman at the gas station, y'all start talking, start popping things off, and, there's nothing wrong with those types of things. But then if you're trying to put in and fulfill, whereas that's taking up more of your time than dealing with the truth, man, that's not where your mind state should be. Because, yeah, you may find a little comfort and a little bit of happiness in that time frame of being, but then guess what? Over time, arise ye and depart, for this is not your rest, it's polluted. You're not going to find your full rest in this here woman, or this here job, or in this here new house, or anything like that. Because over time, again, you buy this new house, all right, and you happy for a moment, but then you go back to realizing about the hell that Esau's putting out here, man. Or they still want to jab up everybody. That goes back into your mind. Oh, you got this here woman, and then now she get pregnant or something like that. Then now you got to think about, oh, now my kids might, they might try to force my kids to get jabbed and take my kids away. All right. Or everything going good with this woman, now she want to start taking you through divorce court and all these things. So now you right back into your hell again, or not to say you right back in your hell again, you've always been there, but now you sobered up to those things. And now oh man, we still back in this here captivity. Well, if that was your mind state from beforehand, you wouldn't be detaching from that type of walk, all right, from sobering up to going back to drinking. It's just like, again, you out with some friends and you drinking, and then all of a sudden, you realize you're too drunk to drive home or whatever. You start sobering up, you start sobering up. Now you got a clear mind, clear vision, and you can start driving. And right before you go to pick up your keys, what do? You don't go and take another shot, a couple more drinks, because you done already sobered up now. All right. You don't want to go back into your drunken state to where you can't really function like that. All right. So, you have to, again, I can use that analogy. Let's say you go to one of your homies' house or whatever, and you're far away, you know, and it's like, yo, y'all, they out there drinking or whatever. Like, no, you shouldn't. It's not really expedient or wise of you to sit down there and go get shit-faced drunk around them or anything like that, knowing you have a long drive back. Like, you know what? I'm going to just have one drink and then, you know, that'll be it, you know, because I'll be straight with that, you know, using the world but not abusing. There's nothing wrong with that. But then at the same time, you know, if you got to go to work in a couple hours or the next day you need to make it back home to go get your kids or whatnot, it's not expedient. It's not wise for you to sit there and invest all of that time and that effort into drinking and getting drunk when you know you have a responsibility to do that calls for you to be sober. You know, trying to give you that analogy of walking in this here world and using the world but not abusing the world. All right. First Peter chapter 1 and verse 13. Wherefore gird up the loins of your mind, be sober, and hope to the end for the grace that is to be brought unto you at the revelation of Yahushua Hamashiach. All right. So look, you have to gird up the loins of your mind. All right. Sober up. Focus in on certain things, you know. Getting the analogy, you drinking with your partners in them and everything like that, y'all getting drunk, y'all laughing and everything, having a good time. But then, you know what, you're looking at your watch and it's like, you know what, it's about time for me to sit here and start sobering up because I got a mission at hand. I got to be able to make it back home, to be able to get up to go to work the next day. You know, you got to have a little bit of discipline and discretion, knowing that you have a job at hand to do. You know what, if I be late to work one more time, if I call off work one more time, I'm about to get fired. I'm going to lose my job, lose my house. I'm going to lose all these things that I work hard for. So what, you have to be, you know, responsible in those types of things. You know, you don't want to sit out here and so-called catch a win or catch a something, whatever it is in this here world that you think that may make you whole, and you invest all your time, effort, and energy into those things. All right, then you back into that drunken state. And then, like the scriptures say, look, uh, you know, basically you need to be sober because we don't know what hour that the Lord's going to come. You know, you don't want to get caught off guard as a thief in the night. All right, that's why we have to watch. Therefore, all right. Let me continue on. It says, verse 14. As obedient children, not fashioning yourselves according to the former lust of your ignorance. All right. So you shouldn't be fashioning yourself back into this here world, living this a worldly life, you know, like where we were before we came into this truth. Some of us uh, desired to go to college or went to college and pursue a career and things like that, you know, and to do all these things, you know what, I'm about to go back to school and get my degree on and do these things, or I'm going to go back out into this here world and find all kind of different things, you know. So we need to, let me read that again. It says, as obedient children, not fashioning yourselves according to the former lust of your ignorance, but as he which have called you is holy, so be ye holy in all manner of conversation. And, you know, going into holy, being what? Separated. Going back to Micah 2 and 10, arise ye and depart, for this is not your rest. We have to be separated from this here world. We have to separate our mindsets and our desires from trying to, you know, and a lot of these things all depend on us being here for a long term. You know, oh, I want to start a business, and you know, and your mind is for your business to grow and expand, and you know, 10, 20 years down the road, and you know, all these different things. You know, that's not where our mindset should be. And again, you know, all things are lawful but not expedient. There's nothing wrong with you starting a business today, man. You know, I mean, there's a lot of, especially for brothers who don't have jobs and coming on hard times, man, there's a lot of little small businesses you could just literally pick up on and boom, you know, for instance, yeah, flipping pallets. You know, you can go rent you a damn U-Haul truck, go to your local grocery store, pick up pallets from there, find people to sell pallets to. You know, that's a little small job that you could start with, just renting a damn truck. Don't take that much time and effort to put into a lot of this energy and everything like that to all these things. And hey, if things go sideways, hey, just walk up out of it. You know, this isn't the same way as like, yo, you took out a student loan to go get a degree into something. Now you're in there for long term and all these things. You have to pass these finals. You have to focus in on this. You have to focus in on that, man. If not, you're screwed. All right. So you have to be separate from a lot of these different things. You have to separate yourself from this here world. All right. Let me go from there. You know, we can go ahead and close out with that. I was gonna grab another precept real quick, but pretty much the point was made there as far as, you know, detaching yourself from this here world. You know, detaching your mindset after the lust of this here life. All right, after these devices, you know what? They got a new little scheme here, or whatever. There was a movie where they said something like, "Yo, if you can't walk away from something in 60 seconds or less, it's not really worth it." You know, and that's the mind state we should be in. You know, I forgot the whole phrase, but you know, that's the mind state we should be taking with a lot of these different things. You know, if you can't just walk away from those things, if you have that much attachment to it, you have to check yourself. You know, because I was gonna grab it, but Matthew 19 talk about we gave up all these things. Which are we getting a reincarnation, or you know, when the Son of Man sitting in his throne of his glory? You know, we're gonna get 100-fold. So that's the mindset we should be having. You know, we should be willing and ready to walk away and detach from all. We shouldn't be attached to any of these things to where it's gonna be hard for us to let these things go. All right, because ultimately we know we're gonna get all these things back 100-fold ultimately. All right, so we should also how does Scripture say in Hebrews? It says um, let us therefore labor into that rest. All right. Going into that, laboring into that rest is what? Let us do the work of the Lord so that we can finally get up out of this place, so we can rest, so we can cleave unto those desires we desire on our inward parts and things like that. Because you know, the most of the things that we desire anyway, nothing wrong with that for you wanting to have a wife and some children. But we got to understand how the prophecies roll. When we get into the kingdom, we're gonna all be right. You're not gonna have that woman that's got a polluted mind and things go left field and y'all arguing and fighting and you stressed out more and more. You got to worry about her cheating and all these things, or you're not going to be worried about your financial situation in the kingdom. All right, you worried and stressed about your financial situation now, and you're thinking that your own arm or this device or this trap or whatever is going to get you up out of that. And then what? You still have to pay tax to Esau. Esau can still come and shut you down at any point in time. When we get in the kingdom, we're going to have an abundance of riches, man, and nobody going to be shutting us down, man. They're going to be bringing all their resources unto us. So these things that we desire, there's only one way of getting these things, all right? Focusing and separating ourselves and devoting our time, effort into serving Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. Ultimately, all right, that's where our first love should be. So I'm gonna go ahead and close out with that. Lord willing, this here lesson was edifying unto the elect. Until next time, I say, call halal Yahweh, Bashim Yahushua, Bashim Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders, great millstone that taught us this truth and that rule well. And salutation and much love for you, Aki, and pushing this truth and sincerity on the four corners of the earth and enduring afflictions to feed and edify the elect. Until next time, I say, stay strong. Shalom.